Welcome back, artists. This week, my older kiddos are going to be making line landscapes. Something like this. You're going to use lines to create a landscape. It's really cool looking when it's all done. This assignment, you need to go slow and take your time and think about all the different kinds of lines that you have been creating for the last years with me, but also the last couple videos. All right, I will show you how we are going to do this. All right, our first step is to use a piece of white paper, and you can use either a black crayon, a black Sharpie, any kind of black marker. You could even use a pencil at first, and then outline it with the marker. First, we want to do a black drawing of a landscape. Think of the things you've learned with landscapes. Something in the background, we're gonna put mountains in the background, something in the midground, and then the river comes from the midground to the foreground, and then these fields are in the foreground. You could even put some flowers here in the foreground or an animal if you would like. But the first step would be for you just to practice drawing some different landscapes. You can see here I did some quick thumbnails of different landscapes. So once you know what your landscape is going to look like, you're going to draw it. So let's just do one with mountains. We'll do some mountains back here. You can follow along with me, or you can create your own idea. That's Broken Top. And then I want something in the midground here. Again, we're using lines. So I liked the river, so I think I'm just gonna have my river start over here, and it's going to curve this way. You could do a road if you want. Maybe there's a road here. And then your road, if you wanted to, you could put a car on it. So that's going to be a river. Then over here, I'm going to put some shapes for trees. Just a nice, simple shape for my trees in the midground. Nothing too hard to draw. And then on the bottom here, I'm just gonna put a bumpy line for the ground. Maybe I'll continue it over here like this. And then if you would like, you could put some more trees over here to define where the mountains end. That's totally up to you. Then here in the foreground, let's see, I could do fields, kind of like the idea of a flower. Maybe there's a flower field here, so I'm going to do some lines that might kind of look like a field here, and then maybe we have some rows that come down like this, and there are flowers growing here, maybe some big sunflowers. So I might do a shape. Maybe I'll just put some circles in here to kind of look like flowers. I'm just kind of brainstorming as I go. Now remember, objects as they get closer to us, they're going to be larger. And then I'll fill the rest of these in with the lines from my picture. Okay, now it's time to start filling in with the colors that I want to use. I think also, just as I'm looking at this, I need some kind of a line here. So I'm just gonna put a fun little squiggly line just to make more ground. It didn't look quite right. I needed to separate that space. And as an artist, that's something that you guys need to evaluate as you're doing your drawings. If I wanted to, I could even maybe put a few more lines here to define the contour of the land. These lines are following the shape of the land. They're called contour lines. So now I'm going to start filling in with color. It doesn't matter where you start. You can start wherever you want. I think just for the fun of it, I'm gonna start here with my river, and I might do some lines that just look kind of wavy like water, kind of like a river might be. And then what I wanna do is just continue that line. I'm going to repeat that line. So I'm going very slowly, and I'm echoing the same line pattern. And I will continue that. And then here below, because this is empty, I want to fill that space in with the same line pattern. Even though it would go off the edge, I can visualize it and I know, oh, it comes back up this way, it goes off the edge, but then it's going to come back this way. So when you see those empty spaces, make sure you come back and you fill them in, because maybe your line was bumpy or zigzaggy and it has a big negative space. We want to fill those negative spaces in with the same contour or shape of our line. All right, so you're going to continue to work this way until you have your whole picture filled in with different colors of lines. You are not coloring. There is no coloring of the shapes. You are using different lines to fill in your shapes. So as you're working, artists, you're going to want to continue to follow these contour lines, the shapes of your lines that you drew with your black. Here, when this line meets the other line, now I'm just going to go out from there and continue doing that same pattern. So I'm just going to fill this in. You'll also notice that I changed the line thickness. So I'm using the side of the marker now because I felt like as the mountain gets closer to me, I want those lines to be a little bit thicker. Remember, when things are closer to us, they are brighter and larger. So I'm making my lines thicker by using the side of my marker as opposed to the tip. I was doing the tip before, so these lines are thinner. And I would just continue this pattern all the way down here behind my trees. Now let's say we're finished with those lines and we do our trees. Now the trees are more of a shape, but I still think it would be neat to just kind of echo the shape of the tree. So I'm going to go right along again the edge that I created to define the tree, and very slowly. You see how slow I'm going? And I am using line to fill in. We are not coloring in the shapes that we created with our lines. We're doing a drawing only using line. Now, if you would like, you could also make different kinds of lines. Most of my lines have been straight or curvy. Here in my river, I think I'm going to do some lines like this that have loops in them. That is a fun way to describe the water for my river. And then my loops might get a little bit smaller as that water or the river disappears into the distance. All right, so you see how I'm working. I'm going to repeat that line in the shape of the river, going nice and slow and controlled. This should take you a good half hour to 45 minutes to create. All right, so keep working this way, artists, getting all these different kinds of lines in your drawing.